After due consideration of the submissions by subcommittees and interaction with relevant stakeholders, the highlights of the bill as recommended by this committee are as follows. Aggregate expenditure, 6 trillion 60 billion 677 million 358,237 naira. Statutory transfers, 351 billion 370 million naira. Debt service, 1 trillion 475 billion 320 million naira. Recurrent expenditure, 2 trillion 646 billion 389 million 236,196 naira. Capital expenditure, 1 trillion 587 billion 598 million 102,031 naira.
Well, welcome back. Did it take too much time for the 2016 budget to be passed into law, and what guarantees are there that this time around a document cleared of atrocious paddings is what has indeed scaled through? And will the executive implement the budget as expected? Well, back to you, Senator Sani. Based on the APC's manifestos and promises to Nigerians during the elections, do you think this budget carries the weight or contains what it takes to deliver the dividends of democracy to the Nigerian people?
Well, this budget is the roadmap towards the implementation of those campaign promises and pledges prior to the 2015 general elections. The content of the budget clearly addresses very pertinent issues that confront the Nigerian state, especially our economy. And you can see the allocation for defense will seriously address our defense needs as far as the challenges are concerned, security challenges in the Northeast. You can also see the budgets for our focus on diversification of the economy, agriculture, education, solid minerals have all gotten a large chunk of the budget. And then infrastructure, which is very much in need, is also a major focus. And then power, and you can even see 2 billion being invested as seed money for the nuclear plant. So certainly the budget is the roadmap towards the implementation of all the promises that were made.
All right, Senator Sani, but 17 billion naira, do you think this is quite enough? Because as it stands, 1.587 trillion naira is what is going into capital expenditure, and the recurrent expenditure still stands at 2.646 trillion naira. Does a difference of 17 billion amount to much?
Well, that issues came up in the observations which he made. Certainly taking cognizance that the focus is how to stimulate the economy and diversify it. So we raised observations as part of the committee report that there is a need to narrow that gap. I think it stands at almost 30.7%. So that is an issue, but in all respect, the appropriation for debt servicing and also the capital will make significant impact to address the basic issues of infrastructure we are facing as a country. Let's not forget that what is most important is for us as parliamentarians to follow through the budget to see to its holistic and faithful implementation, which certainly we're going to do. And then we are very much concerned that despite our reliance on oil in the past, this time around, what can the government do to show up revenues to be able to address the budgetary needs of the MDAs? That is also an issue which we have raised before in the committee, which will certainly going to be presented to Mr. President to study. Okay,
but Senator, the difference between the budget presented by the president, initially 6.08 trillion naira, and what has been passed, 6.06 trillion naira, isn't much. Would you say the National Assembly was overly sensational about the budget being an exorbitant amount?
Well, I don't think, even if it is 1 billion naira, you can't say that is a meager amount. And our job is to go through the document that it's presented before us, and also to ensure that it falls in line with the Fiscal Responsibility Act. And whatever we see, if it is 1 kobo, certainly we're going to raise issues on it. But for the very fact that this is the first time in 16 years of our democratic process, such things has taken place, I think it's also give a new platform in the future to make a better intervention and also corrections when things like this happen.
All right.
And it's not been over sensational. When you...
All right, thank you very much, Senator Shehu Sani. Back to you in the studio here. How come, isn't it curious that this is the first time in so many years that the National Assembly is kicking against a budget or digging up issues from a fiscal document?
Well, don't forget we're in a change government. The governing party, the APC, came to power on the agenda of change. And a lot of people want to see that change in all ramifications. And so what we had at the National Assembly this time around was that the members of the National Assembly for the very first time were prepared to do their job. They wanted to look at the budget, okay, and wanted to be sure that the budget complies with extant laws and that the projections were in fact achievable. And that is what we've seen working. Well, you can have all kind of imputations of motives outside there, but people have heard some said, oh, the reason why the National Assembly did what they did this time around was simply because they have a new sheriff in town who was not going to be compliant with the old system of how budgeting was done. All right? But I think the important thing to take away from here is that, like the Senate distinguished senator said, for the first time in 16 years, we are seeing a National Assembly that is eager and willing to work. And they have come out with a projection, a document for Mr. President to give his consent. So we are waiting to see the President assent to it. And like he said, I think it's a good foundation to build upon going forward. That even if it's a penny that is saved, so long as it is not consistent with the provision of extant laws, and they have done that, I think it's a good movement forward.
All right, the distinguished senator said something. He said the beauty of the budget is in its content, the value is in its implementation.
Yes.
Do you see the...
I agree. I mean, what is the budget without implementation? We have seen very beautiful budgets presented before the Nigerian people before, and yet nothing happens significantly from what we used to have. So the beauty itself will be in implementation. Is there a political way to implement the budget? Now, would the National Assembly be very keen in this oversight function to ensure that the executive actually implements the budget? We had a system in Lagos under Governor Fashola where periodically he would brief Lagosians as to the performance of the budget. We have achieved 60%, we have achieved 70%. I think the National Assembly should ensure that the budget is implemented, because if it is not implemented, then they have achieved nothing.
Thank you very much, Curtis Adigba, legal practitioner and policy analyst. Well, Senator Shehu Sani, your last words on the implementation, on the passage of the 2016 budget and implementation as well.
Well, the last word is that Nigerians should expect a government that is committed towards their well-being and a government that is committed towards implementing the budget which it has set to itself. And also they should expect that the National Assembly will do its job in terms of performing oversight function and insisting on the strict implementation of the budget which was presented before it.
All right, thank you very much, Senator Shehu Sani, Chairman, Senate Committee on Foreign and Local Debt. Well, that's our package on the program tonight. It's been a pleasure having your company all the way. I'm Imana Amawe. On behalf of the entire production crew here at Channels Television Global Headquarters, it's thank you once again and bye for now.